5 suicidal veterans had walked out of the clinic, or out of the VA hospital, deemed as suicidal, and they had walked out of the clinic. We don't know what's happened to them. That's not right. That's not doing enough.
Back now on America's Forum, my old employer, Channel 10 Phoenix, but the gentleman there, Brandon Coleman, an addiction therapist at the Phoenix VA Center, blowing the whistle on the VA's mishandling of suicidal veterans.
This is President Obama proposed 2016 budget would increase the VA budget by $9 billion, but shift funds from the Veterans Choice Program, a program created amidst the VA scandal that allows veterans to seek care at a non-VA health facility.
It's a lot of money, but will the proposed budget by the president harm veterans and harm their programs instead of helping them? It's a developing story, and to gain more perspective, let's bring in Amber Smith, the senior military advisor for Concerned Veterans of America, a veteran herself, a one-time helicopter pilot in the United States Army. Amber, it's so good to have you back on America's Forum.
It's great to be back.
Give us your reaction to the president's proposed budget.
Well, look, we've known from the beginning that money has never been an issue. Funding hasn't been an issue with the problem at the VA. The problem is bureaucracy, red tape, lack of accountability, and lack of choice. And so when the VA reform bill was passed in August of 2014, we had high hopes. It had two key components to the bill, were accountability and veterans' choice. And unfortunately, with these new proposed budgets, they're looking to take some of that money that was allocated for the Veterans Choice Program. So if a veteran lives greater than 40 miles or has a wait time for an appointment greater than 30 days, they then have the choice to seek outside health care outside of the VA, and it's that choice of the veteran. Unfortunately, they're looking to take some of that money that was allocated to that program away.
Amber, I want to get your thoughts on VA Secretary Robert McDonald. He defended President Obama's budget, saying the cuts to the program were actually his idea, not meant to be controversial. So what does this say about the VA and their handling of veteran care?
Well, I think that from the beginning, they haven't liked that choice component to the VA. They want to be in charge. They want it to maintain or stay the bureaucracy that it is today. They don't want to have competition. They don't want veterans seeking outside health care, because then they will have to perform to, meet the same standards that veterans would be getting from outside care. So sort of from the beginning, they've wanted to undermine the choice program, and they're coming out with all sorts of allegations about how veterans aren't interested in the program, which I do not agree with. And really just find a way to either take money away from the program so it can't happen, or pretend that veterans aren't interested in it.
About a minute 30 remains in our time together in this segment, Amber, but I note that a recent poll done by your organization shows that 9 in 10 veterans want more reform and choice when it comes to their health care. As you've chronicled this now, what does this budget proposal say about a disconnection between the administration, or really among the administration, the VA, and the veterans you represent?
Yeah, so almost 9 out of 10 veterans want choice in their health care out of the VA. They want the freedom and liberty to make those decisions about what is best for their health care. And the bottom line is they're not getting that from the VA right now. So veterans want the health care that they have earned. They want the benefits that they've earned serving their country. And right now they are not getting that from the VA. So if the VA was this smooth running, healthcare system where there weren't people on wait lists, weren't ghost clinics, weren't this dysfunctional bureaucracy and unethical management inside of it, then it probably wouldn't be as big of an issue. But right now, veterans are not getting that from the VA. They're getting that broken bureaucracy. They want basically what you can get in the civilian world and outside of the broken system. So until that happens, veterans are going to continue to seek choice in their healthcare outside of the VA.
Amber, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation and switch topics to Brian Williams and a helicopter ride to remember, or perhaps misremember. That's straight ahead on America's Forum.
On this broadcast last week, in an effort to honor and thank a veteran who protected me and so many others after a ground fire incident in the desert during the Iraq War invasion, I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago. I want to apologize. I said I was traveling in an aircraft that was hit by RPG fire. I was instead in a following aircraft.
That was the now infamous apology by NBC News anchor Brian Williams, saying he misremembered the incident in the helicopter with the RPG attack.
Several people have since called for Williams' resignation, and Williams himself announced that he was stepping down temporarily from the NBC News desk and continue his, quote, career-long effort to be worthy of trust.
So how are veterans reacting to Brian Williams and his misremembering? Let's bring back Amber Smith, the senior military advisor to Concerned Veterans for America, herself a former Army helicopter pilot. Amber, I understand that veterans essentially blew the whistle on Brian Williams. Your reaction to this entire episode?
Well, it is absolutely bizarre. There has to be a standard within journalism where people trusted all across America, trusted Brian Williams and things that he was reporting. They trusted that he was telling the truth. And when he's sitting there fabricating these stories and elaborating a story that did happen to another soldier who is lucky to be alive after surviving taking RPG fire to his helicopter, Brian Williams taking that story and making it his own, that is well outside the boundaries of journalistic integrity. And I mean, I'm very, very disappointed.
Amber, I want to get your personal take because you are a former pilot with the military. What was your instant reaction when you heard this story? Were you offended?
When I first heard, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because I was like, it's probably semantics. He may have, misspoke when he said our flight, which in the military world means your group of aircraft flying together. So if he said my flight had taken fire, but one aircraft took hits while the other one didn't, I was like, okay, I get that. But then to find out the true story was that his aircraft was an hour behind the aircraft who did get hit, that there's no mistakes there. When you take fire and your aircraft gets hit, you don't forget if that happened to you or not. If you're lucky enough to walk away from it, you remember it forever. It's not cloudy. Maybe the details and the fog of war in terms of the high stress and adrenaline environment when you're the pilot or the crew chief or whatever you are in that environment, but you do not forget that it happens. You don't have to, when you land, get out of the aircraft and talk to your pilots and say, did we get hit? Did we not? That's why it's absolutely ridiculous for him to say he misspoke. You don't forget. I'm sure you've seen the video of him on the Dave Letterman show when he was saying that the aircraft he was in took RPG fire. That is taking another person's story and using it as your own. That's not misspeaking.
Amber, about a minute remains, and retired General Paul Vallely said in a recent interview, and I quote, Brian Williams has lost all credibility and respect. He also said that reporters at war fronts often sensationalize or exaggerate stories. Do you agree with the general's take, and should Mr. Williams leave NBC News?
Well, I have a lot of respect for combat journalists who go into the war zone and report soldiers' stories. I think some of the people who are, the most mad at Brian Williams right now are some of combat journalists saying, you're making us all look bad by taking someone else's story that we're supposed to be reporting on. And so I have a lot of respect for those journalists who are out there and do have integrity and are reporting the truth and telling our stories as people who have been in the combat zone. But I don't know. I think that Brian Williams, I think it's going to be tough for him to move forward in that very well-respected position because, once again, like I said, I think he's lost the trust of the American people.
And on that note, we thank you, Amber Smith, for your service to our nation as a helicopter pilot in the U.S. Army and your comments today. A lot of tough stories, but some happy stories when we come back. Stay tuned.